In this video, I'm going to show you step-by-step instructions on how to replace the internal battery on the iPhone 14 Pro. Begin by powering down the device. We're going to remove the two pentalobe screws either side of the lightning connector. Store those safely for reinstallation later. And now we're going to take a suction cup, attach it to the bottom third of the iPhone. I'm going to get some isopropyl alcohol and I will run a small bead of that all around this bottom edge and the right hand edge too. And then if you watch carefully what I do here, I'm going to take this single-sided razor blade and I'm going to insert it between the edge of the screen and the very edge of the chassis. Let me find it. You'll feel it with the blade. And then you're going to push it down. It'll go in. It should go in nice and flat. There's a bit of gunk around the edge of this phone that's sort of stopping this one from going in, but find the edge, push it straight down until it won't go any further down really. There's an edge what's stopping it going any further. I'm going to add some more alcohol onto it as well. And then I'm going to sort of peel back with this. So I'm going to pull back with that and then I'm going to lift up with the suction cup. And what it's going to do, it's going to create a... It's going to lift the screen up. That's what it's going to do. It's going to break the seal and lift it up. Just be very careful. You don't want to yank it too hard. If it's not coming the first try, just add a bit more alcohol and you can try again. But that lifting and prying action at the same time is going to slowly lift and break the seal. Sometimes it comes away really easy. Sometimes it takes a bit more effort. And at this one, it's took a bit more effort. But eventually, it has now opened up, look. And you can see it start to lift away there. We'll just put it in one more time and pop it out. The purpose of creating this small gap is so that we can insert a plastic pick into it. And I'll explain that in a minute, once this one stops being so awkward. So we've got that gap there. Now we've got a small gap that fits a razor blade in. We can lift it up a little bit and then it should be able to stretch it out of it and get the plastic pick in it. We'll turn the phone, add a few drops of alcohol, and we're gonna just run that guitar pick up that edge. If you get any resistance like there, then we'll get a bit more alcohol and it's just gonna soften that adhesive and make it a bit easier to work out and detach the screen. I've just gone back on myself and worked away along the bottom, and then I'm going to do this other side now. That's as far as we need to go with the plastic pick along the edges. We go up to about here and up to about here, just to the top of the buttons really. And what we're going to do at this point, we're going to lift that a little bit. Look, just lift it a little bit. Just take the weight of it really. And we're going to wiggle from side to side. This is to detach the top area of the screen. It's clipped in at this point, so you need to wiggle it from side to side. And you can, if you need to, get the guitar pick again, push it down flat, similar to what we did with the razor blade, and just push it out this time, opening it up, revealing the inside of the phone. It opens up just like a book from the front cover. I'll leave the suction cup attached because that's going to act as a little rest to stop the screen from falling over and putting any stress on these cables here and here. And now that we're into the phone, we need to actually detach these two cables which are attached to the phone underneath this shield here, and that is of course held down with some tri-wing screws. You need a Y000 screwdriver to remove those, and you just systematically remove them. I go from bottom to top. You can go from top to bottom. You could go from left to right. You could go in a anti-clockwise motion. It doesn't matter as long as you remove them and as long as you know where the screws go at the end. The best way to do that is to use something like this. This is a little magnetic mat or parts tray, and I just put the screws on there in an order that I took them out so that I know where they go at the end of the job and I can put them straight back. Just a couple more screws to remove now, and that's it. they're all out of the way, which means that we can now remove this shield. That's not held in by anything now. You just have to get underneath it. It's best to get it at this bottom corner here, lift it up, and then you want to sort of turn it out there. It's attached a little bit under a little lip there, so you have to just slide it out, lift it up and pull it out like that, because you don't want to catch it on there and you don't want to catch it on there. This connector here is for the battery that we're going to of course remove. Disconnect that first. That's going to isolate power from the device, and then we can disconnect this cable just here. I'm using a plastic spudger, by the way. We use this instead of metal tweezers because there's much less risk of damaging any small or sensitive components when using plastic tools. Finally, we've got this one. Disconnect that, and that means that we can remove this screen and we can just put that to one side for later. At this point, we need to start thinking about removing this battery. Now, official Apple guidelines say that you need to remove this loudspeaker and taptic engine from the bottom. However, I find that if you add a few drops of isopropyl alcohol to the top of the battery, a few drops to the bottom, and then let that soak in for 5 minutes, you're going to find that it comes out a lot easier than removing that, because it's still hard to get it out once you've got that out. The idea is you take that out, and then you pull these pull tabs that are almost impossible to pull. So instead, add a little bit of isopropyl alcohol, let that soak for 5 minutes, and we're going to fill that 5-minute void by cleaning up this edge. Can you see all this adhesive that's left behind? That is covered in, it needs to be replaced. It's covered in gunk and muck and crap, so we need to get that out of the way. The easiest way to remove it is using one of these little number 4A X-Acto blades attached to this little hand tool thing, that had like a scalpel holder sort of thing. And we're just going to run it up the edge, and it's going to separate the adhesive from the frame, and you're going to do that along all 4 edges. I'm not going to go into too much detail showing you how to scrape off adhesive, but just be careful of things like flex cables. Be careful of, obviously the battery is still in there, and be careful around the cameras and the Face ID sensors. So once you've worked all that adhesive off, what you will be left with is something looking a bit like this. It's still a bit scabby, it's a bit unclean. You might have also knocked this little guy off as well. Just remember to keep hold of this, because it is important to keep dust out of the ear speaker. You can just put it to one side until we put the phone back together. I am going to finish cleaning properly before I remove the battery, so I'm going to add some isopropyl alcohol onto that edge, and you can either use your thumbnail if you want, or you can use the plastic spudger, but just get hold of a bit of the clean room wipe or a cotton bud, and you're just going to clean up really deep into that little edge, because that's where all the dust and gunk gets into and then lands on the seal, and it stops it getting in the phone, but it really does build up on that edge. So just take a minute to make sure that it's all gone, because honestly these phones are absolutely disgusting. And it's not just like, even clean people's phones are pretty filthy. Phones in general, mucky stuff. These little grounding pins, just make sure that they're pointing in the same direction they were at the start, and it looks like that, just in case you messed it up. And then just keep working around. We've got this top, this last left-hand edge, and then we've got the top edge to do. You have to be a bit more careful with this top edge, because obviously you've got the camera there, the Face ID component. So I'll use just the flat end of the spudger, and I'll just add it on like that, and just very carefully run it down there, cleaning it all up. Just perform a quick visual inspection, and that is just about as clean as it's going to get today. Now we need to remove the battery. The easiest way that I have found to do this, I've discussed the other option with you before. I'll just get the plastic pick in that bit there, and very carefully pry. If it doesn't come out there, you can get it into this side area here, and it will come out. You just have to be a little bit forceful with it. Like I say, don't worry about those pull tabs, because we've added some isopropyl alcohol. if you can try, right? You can try and use those pull tabs, but I almost guarantee that they'll snap. If you do it this way, you just pull the battery out like that. It doesn't put much pressure on it. It's barely bent it at all. It's a safe way of doing it. Just don't use metal tools to pry at it. A simple plastic tool is effective enough. Now, you can dispose of this battery using your local recycling guidelines. Me personally, I'll go and put this in a children's playground. As for the remaining adhesive, we're going to get some tweezers, get underneath a bit of it, and then just try and pull as much of it away as you possibly can. You can, look, the pull tabs are still there. You just see, look how easy it would have been to break that. That's why we don't use the pull tabs. You'll see how easily this stuff breaks. If somebody's watching this and thinking, oh, actually, I know a way better way of getting these off, then please be my guest. But I'll remove quite a lot of batteries, and I mean, this one has been particularly awful, and they're usually a little bit easier than that to remove, but this is probably the biggest pinch point, is this adhesive. Even the adhesive around the edge of the screen it's a pinch point, isn't it? Because like on older phones it were a lot easier to remove it. You could grab hold of it with your fingers and pull it off. I suppose they weren't as waterproof, so catch-22. So I've ended up just using a little scrapey tool to remove the last of that adhesive, but that is all out of the way. If you wanted, you could get a little cloth with some alcohol on and just wipe it up, make sure that it's very nice and clean and a ready surface to receive the new battery. Especially sometimes you might find that it's puffed up, the battery, left a hole in this edge and let dirt and dust in, so just make sure that it's really nice and clean, because adhesives stick best when they are clean. Now, talking about the part we're going to use, this is a genuine Apple original, brand new, in the original packaging battery. It's 100% capacity and it's ready to be recalibrated. It comes with screws, so if you did mess it up, then at least you've got some backup screws. I'm just going to chuck them to one side, and then you've got the battery, which comes in a nice plastic protective box like that. In case you're wondering where to get the part that I use in this video, let me show you exactly where to find it. First, head over to mobilecentrics.co.uk, choose the correct model for your phone. In this case, it's the iPhone 14 Pro. Then select the battery you need and proceed to checkout. All the prices and details are available through the link in the description below. Just click that and you'll find everything that you need. You've got the adhesive, which is this pink looking stuff, but it's actually white when we get underneath it. I'll show you. Peel off this pink film and you've got white adhesive. The thing at the top is not there permanently. Instead, it's a little spacing block. And you see you've got maybe a millimetre there, or even half a millimetre and half a millimetre there. And that's designed to be dropped into place, rest it up against the speaker down the bottom here, and then rest it up against the edge over there. And what you'll find is it should line up pretty close to where it needs to be. All you'll need to do is pull on these little pull tabs there, pull on this little pull tab here, and you should be able to remove this guy now. So that's out of the way. And all right, the cable was a bit wonky, but we can adjust it, look, and it's in place. It clicks in normal. What the hell is that? Polystyrene or something. So yeah, that's how these batteries work and how they're installed. You can apply some pressure. The adhesive was there, so we'll put some pressure on there. The adhesive was also here, so we'll put some pressure on here. That's the battery in. All we need to do is put this phone back together. To do that, we're going to need a new adhesive seal. So the adhesive seals come like this. They cost maybe 50p to a pound, depending how many you buy at a time. And somebody, I don't know how I have to do this, but apparently it's not very self-explanatory which way these go around. I think it is. This little dip here, that's to go around the speaker at the top. So that's the top. This is the top, that's the bottom. Make sure the top goes to the top of the phone and the bottom goes to the bottom of the phone. Line up the left-hand edge and then line up this, follow it down all the way to the bottom, so then you've got the left edge, and then the rest of it, if it's in line, it should slap down, absolutely perfect, and not need any adjustment, and it'll just want pushing down. That's all you got to do, just push it down, use the flat edge of the spudger all the way around it, and just give it a little nudge. Push it down, push it down, push it down. If you have problems, it's £1. You'll have to buy another one. Once you've got it in place, sometimes you'll find the whole seal comes off together. Sometimes you'll find that there's a little blue film left behind. In this instance, it looks like we're taking it all off in one. I don't decide. I'll let the phone decide which one we're going to do. What you might find is that sometimes it doesn't stick perfectly, so you just have to get hold of it where it's lifting off and just push down whilst you're working your way around. And yeah, you can see that this part, the blue film stayed behind, which I'm quite happy with, to be honest, because I prefer it to stay behind there. Just have a quick look at the edge of your phone screen as well, because you see there was a lot of dirt and stuff on the phone, so I had a feeling there'd be a lot of dirt and stuff on the edge of the screen. I'm just going to use the clean room wipe with some alcohol on it. You'll see that's a pretty dirty area of clean room wipe. It's going to be loppy in a second, hopefully, to really emphasize my point of how dirty it is. It's not dirty at all. But there is a lot of dirt and dust and grimy sort of muck on here. We're ready to install this screen. Make sure, I know I was messing about connecting the battery and stuff, just make sure that the battery is disconnected whilst you are reconnecting your screen. Connect it down like that, offer up the other cable and push it down like that. And now you can reconnect the battery. At this point you can test that everything still works and goes back together, although I will say, if this doesn't turn on straight away, you might have to put it on charge, because a lot of these batteries, the genuine ones, they come with no charge in them and the batteries are flat. I'm going to put the shield on, just thread it around those bits where I told you, around the cables, and then reinstall the screws. Remember how you laid out the screws was important. If you don't know where they went, just use the screws that came with the battery if you're using a genuine one. Whilst I'm installing these screws, I will make a note about the non-genuine parts. If you decided to cheap out and not buy the genuine one, you probably paid about 50% less for a non-genuine battery. Now what you'll find is that non-genuine batteries will not allow you to recalibrate them with Apple servers. For most people, they don't mind, but it can influence the resale price of the device. The price will probably be less if you've got a non-genuine battery in there. That's just how it goes. And because of Apple's new system, it's very easy to tell. You just go into settings, battery, and it'll say this is a non-genuine battery. It'll probably say it's 100% capacity, but it will say it's a non-genuine one. That's all those screws reinstalled. I don't know if you saw me get them other ones. I don't know if they were in frame or not, but you get the gist. You need to get all those screws back in. It's worth having a very quick visual look over all of it. Make sure there's no dust. Use a little dust blowing bulb like this one, and I'm going to grab hold of this last bit of film here. I'm going to grab hold of it with my finger, and whilst I fold the screen down like that, I'm not going to push it down all the way. I'm going to get hold of that last bit of film, and it did snap off there, so I'm going to get hold of this bit, peel off the last of it, and then to install the screen again, you're going to do it the same as we did in reverse. So you're going to get the top in, get it all clipped down, and just push down the edges until it's all sat absolutely spiffingly, brilliantly, perfectly in place. All that we need to do now, of course, is to install these two pentalobe screws. Don't use the tri-wing driver, use the pentalobe driver to reinstall them, otherwise you'll round them off and you'll never be able to do anything again. Unless you want to watch the video where I explain how to get your phone screen off when you've rounded the screws off. I'll put the link up here or here. I can't remember where it goes, one of these sides. And now the phone should turn on, but it may be that the battery's flat. There we go. Battery is flat. Right, come back in 5 minutes and we'll recalibrate it. So the phone has eventually turned on. What we're doing now is just doing a quick software update. But after you've installed the battery, what you'll notice is, sorry, let me go back. You'll get this finish your battery repair. And at the moment, it won't allow us to restart and finish the repair. A, because it's not got enough charge, it has to have 20% charge on to do this. And B, it's not on the latest software version, so we do need to do a quick software update to allow the finishing of the repair. Until then, you'll get an important battery message, and that's just because it's not calibrated it just yet. So now that it's updated the software, we've got a couple of options because we've got enough charge now, so you can choose finish your battery repair in the service menu, or you can also turn the device off. And this is a way you can cheat code it. If you don't have enough battery and you want to do it in a quick flash, you want to press and hold up volume, press and hold down volume, and then insert the cable, and that's going to force the phone into diagnostic mode. We wait until we get the Apple logo, and then you can release the two buttons just there and wait a small age. I make jokes, but it just does seem like it takes a long time to get into diagnostic mode. Maybe it's because you're waiting. Now that we're into diagnostics mode, we're going to just follow the very simple instructions. We're going to choose continue. You will have to put the Wi-Fi network again, even if the phone's already connected to your Wi-Fi network. Don't worry about that. Accept the terms and conditions. Finish the repair. It should configure, and this is the point where it's deciding what parts have been replaced, and it should in a minute tell us that the battery needs to be configured. There we go. It's a genuine Apple part. We can choose continue, and then this is the point where it is now configuring it. I don't know exactly what it's doing. I suppose it's speaking to the Apple servers and just saying this battery has been replaced and it's a genuine one. Allow it access to the features, I suppose, maybe, I don't know. But once it is done, it's going to allow us to restart the phone, and that's it. Job is done. We'll wait for it to turn back on, and I'll show you the final completed repair. Parts and service, yeah, it's done. It's genuine, repaired on this date. I don't know, this will be a couple of weeks ago, or a year ago, depends when you watch this video. Job done. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.